So, hello, Pisces, and those of you with strong Piscean placements in your birth charts. This is Nicole Myths, Astrology and Tarot, and we are doing your 2022 forecast month by month. All of the timestamps are in the video's description below for you to easily go back to each month throughout the year. I'm using my Patch Tarot as an energy milestone card for each month and my Chakra Wisdom Tarot for further clarity and insights into it. Okay, so as we start the year in January, the milestone card from the Patch Tarot is a holy arcana specific to this deck, and it is the light. The duality is reveal versus conceal. And because it's a specific card to this deck, I want to read some for you. It says, the light represents the formless, shapeless, unknowable, and undefinable source from which the entire tree of life emerges. It is beyond comprehension and serves as a reminder that no matter what we think we know nothing at all. When drawing the light in a reading, it speaks to the revealing and illuminating of something that is hidden. This is a total illumination, a lifting of the veil in order to vividly clarify something previously murky or confusing. Further, this is the creative light, and so describes that this illuminating power may encompass a new illuminating solution as well. This creative power is infinite and is a reminder that spirit is always with you. You know, when we talk about revealing truths, it's acknowledging the truth, capital T, to the self, knowing that denying it, or at least sensing that denying it would be a mistake or lead to experiences that are unwelcomed or not preferred. You know, when we look at the Six of Wands, the Four of Swords, and the Six of Swords, clarifying it, a lot of the truth is, if you need a break from whoever or whatever energy, it's a victory when you choose to maintain a peaceful mindset. You know, the Six of Swords is walking away from things or people, experiences that are mentally overtaxing when you don't have the extra mental capacity to deal with them. You know, if the answer is no, it is no, right? This is a victory that you are welcoming in this path of taking a break when you refuse to have your mental peace disturbed. To deny the truth and go back on your word, so to speak, because swords are a suit of communication. So if you were to go back on your word, once you've given it, you kind of already know you're in for mental stress, you know? And this acknowledgement in January, I think, is going to help you out a lot moving forward. I think the epiphany truly is trusting your inner guidance, the victory your spirit claims when you end the internal conflict of pleasing yourself versus pleasing other people, and you simply choose to just please yourself. Whatever pleases you, you're not going to sacrifice your own mental state for someone else's, you know? I think that pretty much sums up the energy of January. I think it sums it up pretty well. That's January. For February, your milestone is the Empress card. The duality is nurture versus neglect. Comes out with Temperance, the Judgment card in reverse, and the Three of Coins, clarified by the Queen of Swords. Now, when we talk about the duality of nurture versus neglect, depending on how well you are nurturing your own energy or neglecting your own energy, is what you tend to manifest, because the Empress is a manifester, and that she creates experiences that you receive, right? You receive an experience based on your energy. So if you've been nurturing your energy and standing up for yourself like you were in January and holding solid when, if it's not a fuck yeah, it's a fuck no type thing, and you've been holding solid to that, the experiences that you are creating are essentially moving into the realm of ideal. I say that based on the clarifying cards. If you are neglecting your energy, you may very well be plunged into a situation that would force you to alchemize and integrate, where your mind and your heart are in agreement, right? Learning if it's not a fuck yeah, it's a fuck no type energy. The Temperance card here is an alchemy card. It's a Sagittarian energy, and it is about taking what is essentially the ingredients in the mind, the masculine aspect of the self, and the ingredients in the heart, or the feminine aspect of the self, and turning them into something completely beautiful with them working together. Okay? The Judgment card in the reverse could mean a couple things. In the realm of nurture, if you are in the light duality of this month, the Judgment card being in the reverse would be the release of reoccurring karmic or familial patterns or wounds, right? Karmic experiences, particularly surrounding the arena of family. If it is in the shadow duality of neglect, the Judgment card being in the reverse would be the loss of some kind of family, whether it's blood family or soul family, right? Anyone you would consider a family, that you would not be allowed to be judged for your energy by them, and so they would simply resonate out of your experience or vibe out. It's letting go of the resurrection of old wounds. Like if you were to fall into neglect and shadow, you would really only be able to vibrate in the experience of people on a similar level. And so anybody whose energy elevation is higher than that and better than that, they wouldn't be in your experience. You would probably have a really hard time connecting to certain people. If you need help, if you need support, if you need an ear, if you need whatever energy you're going after, they would be unable to give it to you. However, I do feel overall the energy is very much light and in the realm of nurture. I do feel like for the majority of you that would watch this message and receive it through me, that you are in fact letting go of old familial ties. Jupiter has officially entered into Pisces energy, and I feel that you are reaping a great benefit from that. The Three of Coins that comes out with the Queen of Swords. The Three of Coins coming after the Two of Coins. The Two of Coins is always about an ideal versus the real, right? There's reality, and then there's the ideal that we wish the reality was. Moving off of the Two of Coins energy into a Three of Coins energy and seeing the image on the card in this particular deck, she is painting the third coin, which means creation, right? And we're dealing with an Empress energy who is filled with creative vibrations. And so I'm looking at this as if the truth in your heart, the Queen of Swords, who is a very feminine, heart-based figure, with the sword of truth, I think the truth in your heart and being able to follow that guidance to nurture that is what's actually creating the movement of being contracted to manifest better energy that is more in alignment with the ideal than the old reality, right? There's actual positive changes. Familial patterns are not being rehashed and continuing to come up and do what they do in shadow. right? Otherwise, truly, if you do end up in the shadow of this month, I mean, you're going to end up manifesting a very serious karmic situation, because your heart needs to find the truth and needs to be able to create from a place of truth. And you might have your hand forced into alchemizing within yourself, that you can't ignore your heart the way it feels, or you can't ignore reason and logic in your mind, that you would have to have your own masculine and feminine aspects within truly get along and work together. You know, it never works out when you're just all heart or all head. They have to work together. And so ultimately, you're either learning that or reaping the rewards of manifesting that this month. That's February. For March, your milestone is the Passion card. It is strength versus weakness. Comes out with the Hanged Woman, King of Coins, and the Emperor. Now, the strength card, strength versus weakness, right? Because it's passion. The Passion card is the actual strength card in traditional tarot. Strength versus weakness is about how capable you are of not letting your egoic human responses, your learned human responses, control what you otherwise know, or know that spirit would react differently. I'll give you an example. Someone is acting a fucking fool, and maybe typically you would say some shit or be smart with them or sharp with them because they're being fucking foolish or reckless or ridiculous or inconsiderate, right? Whatever it is. The ego would have you pop off and school them a certain way, right? That you would be frustrated or disappointed or angry or whatever. In this particular card, the female that is usually depicted on the card is in fact sleeping. It's the lion or the ego that's awake, but it's not roaring. Its third eye is lit. So even when you're not, see the challenge for March, even when you're not getting intuitive pings as to how to react, your ego has been able to identify certain projections from other people and is learning how to read them like spirit would. Like, you don't need your intuition to ping you. You don't need to discern so much as it's what would spirit do? What would God do? What would my angels do? Like, if I were an angel, what would I do for this person? Because if they're being reckless and they're being this or being that, chances are there's some kind of pain body prompting it, because the ripple that you would feel is some kind of pain or hurt energy. And so, okay, this person's a hurt person. I don't actually want to hurt them more. They're already hurt. So what can I do? If I were spirit, how would I respond? Spirit, capital S. How would I respond? And remembering in a moment that you are spirit when you choose it. And you can choose it. The Hanged Woman is about making heart over head decisions. It's about putting all logic and reason aside for a minute and showing mercy or compassion. Like, logic or reason might say they deserve whatever the ego would have otherwise dished out to them. They deserve it. They deserve to get yelled at. They deserve to be given a tone. of frustration. They deserve to know you're frustrated. Logic would tell you they deserve it. The egoic's logic, right? But your heart being over your head in this predicament, what would Spirit do? They deserve mercy and compassion. I'm not going to give them what they think they deserve. But I am going to show them compassion because I understand if this is what they're projecting out in their behavior, this is the energy that they're projecting, they're a hurt person. So I'm going to take on the aspects of a healed person who is not personally offended or affected by their behavior, but that can guide them instead. Can correct them in a calm, peaceful way instead of giving them what they think they deserve for that behavior. The Hanged Woman is heart over head decisions. That is ultimately the choices that can be made that rearrange or change the reality. The King of Coins and the Emperor, that's some powerful shit right there. Like, you could have someone who is very much in control of their reality. The King of Coin. You could have a King of Coin energy who very much controls their reality. They get what they want, one way or the other. Whether it's by doing good things or doing not so great things and people give them their way anyway. Like, this could be a King of Coins, I manifest my reality type person. And you coming in with Hanged Woman energy essentially puts you in the Emperor energy. Because you're recognizing that power play that they put forth, controlling their reality, is really just a hurt heart space behind that facade. It's just a hurt heart behind there. So yeah, they might be the King of Coin. They might have great control over their reality and their kingdom. But if you're coming in as the Emperor, your energy trumps theirs. Your positivity, your mercy, and your compassion actually ends up controlling the experience. You have more control with your positive energy than they do with any negative energy. You regain control of the situation. The Emperor is the ultimate divine masculine energy in control. It is the epitome of healed willpower and intention and choice. Because at the very least, if they continue to try and control the experience with you, an Emperor will have healthy boundaries and say, I have said what I needed to say and I'm not going to tolerate anymore. You have heard me. And I'm not going to sit here and tolerate this controlling shit. I love you. I'm walking away. I'm going home. I'm hanging up. No, I'm not going to answer it if you call me back. No. All right, you already learned how to say no in January. It was working out for you. And you're in this very emperor-like status where you are in control wherever you go because you're in your light. You're in this vibration of allowing yourself to be a vehicle for higher will. Free will is the ego's thing. Ego will do whatever the fuck it wants. The hell with higher will. This is what I want. Free will. And there's nothing wrong with that. But higher will ultimately trumps free will because higher will created free will. Higher will is what created free will. So when you are in the vibration of higher will, it truly does trump free will. Because ultimately, if you show someone compassion and you show someone mercy and they continue to shit on you and you decide no more, they can't be mad at you for walking away. They're only mad at themselves. They know what they did pushed too far. They know they took it too far. People know. So be strong. Even if you're not intuitively guided to something, even if you're caught in the moment having to make an on-the-fly reaction, if you can respond with compassion and mercy and healthy boundaries, being able to draw that line and not try and save anybody, but guide as much as you can guide, and then stop guiding if it's falling on deaf ears. With love and compassion in your heart, like, I love you, but I'm not going to keep doing this shit. Sorry. Sorry, not sorry. You can do that. You'll have a very powerful March. That's March. In April, your milestone card is death, and it comes with the duality of transition versus resistance, okay? It's clarified by the Queen of Cups, the Princess of Swords, and the Princess of Cups in reverse. You could definitely be dealing with a mother who has multiple youths, okay? You could also be dealing with someone who has strong Cancerian or Scorpionic energy, or it can most definitely be aspects going on astrologically that are playing on your own Cancerian and Scorpionic energy, okay? Transition is about how well you adapt to becoming the butterfly, okay? Going from who you once were and being in this new version of yourself and allowing yourself to continue to explore it versus resisting it, because the butterfly can come out of the chrysalis fully ready to fly and choose not to fly and stay there with the chrysalis. Or it can transition into its role of the butterfly and explore and see what is out there in the world and be the butterfly. So the Queen of Cups energy, because we can't resist. We can't resist the fact that we're transforming. It is not pleasant to resist. Resistance, to be fair, would look like taking other people's problems on as your own and martyring yourself. It would be sharp communication. It would be, quick and sharp communication, like those few words that you could say that would cut somebody down to size, and being unapologetic for it, knowing you said something outright that hurt them. It's not acceptable to spirit. Okay. Resisting being the butterfly would be trying to revert back to being a caterpillar. But the transition aspect with the Queen of Cups and the light with these cards is about owning the love and nurturance and being able to overflow, being able to own the transcendence and the new level of elevation that you've reached with your energy, and being able to do short and sweet communications and not being sorry when you're not lengthy. Sorry, I only have so much time and so much energy that I can give to you on this particular subject. I cannot sit here and waste my time. Can't do it, won't do it. Could do it, but won't do it. Sure, I can, but I won't. It's owning the love of self. Resistance would be trying to love another so much that you suffer in the experience for it. That you're trying to love them more and love them more and love them more to your own detriment, because you feel shittier or worse the more you deal with them. The more you try and love them, the worse you feel. That would be resistance. And they are not receiving the compassion. They're not receiving the consideration. That love is just falling on a broken heart that can't receive it. In one crack and out the other. But the transition is knowing that you love another, but being unwilling to sacrifice your own peace and energy to a detriment for them because you love yourself. You only have so much energy that you can give. Sure, you're overflowing, but the overflow is not meant for only them. They will drain it all. Keeping things short and sweet and being unapologetic about it. You're not heartless. You might be perceived as heartless or the opposite of compassionate. Oh, you don't care about me? No, yes, I do. I just care about myself too. Let's not get it twisted. Me ruining my day to give all this excessive energy to you is not love. It's not love. How could it be love if I'm allowing you to ruin my day? How can you tell me that you love me if you are willing to drain my energy and ruin my day? I gave you the best advice and time that I could. And that's going to have to be enough. Otherwise, you can take your selfish self, who would willingly and knowingly drain my energy and my compassion to no end, and you could take it somewhere else. I gave you what I was able to give you, and I'm unwilling to drain myself to prove that I love you. I love you. I don't need to prove it. Maybe you should go and spend some time loving yourself and drawing healthy boundaries with the people that have you annoyed or upset, and take space for yourself because you've given them enough of your own energy that you're draining mine for it to make up what you lost. You know what I mean? Short, simple conversations, and let it be that, because that's the energy of April. Transiting into a healthy boundary with other people, keeping things short and sweet and unapologetically so, because you are overflowing, and that includes to yourself. Once you start feeling any type of way and you're wasting your time, you're not overflowing anymore, you're draining, right? That's the lesson for April. For May, your milestone card is the Devil. It flew out in the reverse. The duality is addiction versus desire. It's clarified by the Seven of Cups, the King of Coin, and the Princess of Cups. The duality of addiction versus the desire, right? Our soul has a certain desire that it wants to achieve. And then our ego is addicted to certain things. Usually it's being right and being in control versus releasing control and being at peace, right? Going with the flow and being at peace. Whoever you were dealing with last month that I was kind of warning you about, whose energy might definitely try and drain you, they might be very persistent. You may have given in a little, Pisces. I'm not going to lie. Your heart is very empathic and you could be a bit of a softie. All right. Other energies will definitely turn you into a pushover if you let them. We can't cut corners with some people. Some people we have to be very firm with. Because your polar opposite sign, Virgo, deals with things on a step-by-step, a meticulous step-by-step manner. It doesn't miss a beat. Pisces can sometimes get caught up in the way that everybody else is swimming. Because the whole point is to go downstream with the flow of the river. But if everybody else is swimming upstream, Pisces can't help it. Okay? catch yourself. Catch yourself in April so you're not dealing with this shit in May. Because you might just fall back into a cycle of addiction where you are trying to be right and control the reality versus flowing with the self, flowing with spirit, capital S, and going your own direction. You know, when every other fish is swimming upstream, despite the fact that they're not reaching the destination they're swimming towards because they're swimming upstream, if you want to swim downstream and see where you end up, like, you've got to be able to do that despite everybody else making you think you're crazy. You got to be able to do your own thing authentically. Because the other fish might just watch you and turn around and be like, you know what, fuck this. We ain't going anywhere trying to swim upstream. Let's go with the flow. Like that fish. See where we end up. I think that's kind of where you're at. Needing to just go with the flow. And stop trying to be right. Stop trying to control it. Stop being lured. It's like someone throwing out bait. It's like someone throwing out bait, trying to reel you in and catch you swimming upstream. Because no matter how much you swim and swim and swim trying to get somewhere, you're not really going anywhere. You're just standing still. And so they throw that bait right in front of your nose. You wouldn't have even been tempted by that bait if you were in flow. Because they're fishing where all the people swimming still are. You know what I mean? Getting caught up in the collective energy instead of being authentic in your own. And then wondering how you ended up flopping around on the shore. 7 of Cups. You know you sure as shit ain't meant to be washed up on shore. Somebody pulled you out the fucking water. And you are far away from the destination that you would feel at home being in the self. They pulled you out of character. They've pulled you out of character. Out of principle. Spiritual principle. The wisdom you've learned. You are the creator of your reality, the King of Cups. Whatever you manifest in May, you chose it for yourself. You let someone pull you out of character. If you decided you were a compassionate person with healthy boundaries, they have pulled you out of character. They've got you to drop your healthy boundaries. They got you to drop your compassion and mercy. They've lured you out of character. You got to remember, you created this. Dealing with whoever it is you're dealing with. Princess of Cups, you might owe yourself an apology. You might owe yourself an apology. Or have to, ask for forgiveness. Be like, I'm sorry. You'll have to forgive me, but I need to go right now. I should not be here or doing what I'm doing right now. I need to separate myself. Go a different direction. You might owe an apology to yourself in May. Like, I'm sorry for setting a precedent or a certain standard that you expect now because I can't hold up to that precedent or that standard. It's unfair to me. and acknowledging the fact that you created it and you can uncreate it and create something new. Because the only way to release the devil is to surrender and flow and choose peace over being right or power or control. Especially if money's involved. Just simply because of the devil card. Not necessarily, because it could be desires too. The devil can sometimes denote attraction, physical encounters and attraction, money. I mean, if you think about a lust for money, a lust for sex, a lust for power, that's the devil's domain. Someone's trying to get one over on you. You've got to call them on it and catch it. Otherwise, you're going to end up having to apologize to yourself. So, keep that in mind. That's May. For June, your milestone card is the Hanged Man. The duality is surrender versus rejection. It comes out with the Five of Swords, the Princess of Wands, and the Four of Cups clarified by the Hierophant. Now, the duality of the Hanged Man, especially if last month the devil energy or the shadow tempted you into creating scenarios that did not feel good, I think that was Spirit's way of kind of reminding you not to go back to your old self, your pushover self, and you got the slap on the wrist for it, like, don't slip, it sucks, you know what I mean? Because come June, you've expelled it, right? Whatever that demon or shadow was, it's been removed from you. The Hanged Man has the snake underneath of him, but his eyes are closed. He's not sweating it, and he's not giving the snake any opportunity to actually re-enter his self, capital S, right? The mind refuses to give in to the shadow thoughts and is surrendering to the experience instead of feeling rejected by the experience or people in it. Because if you start telling somebody that you're not going to bend to their shadow because you love yourself and you're not going to be taken advantage of or walked all over or be a pushover, and deal with their shit, they might not fucking like it. They might not fucking like it. When the shadow doesn't get its way, it's a fucking bitch. And I wouldn't be surprised with the Five of Swords if you start to argue with these people. Now they're trying to fight with you and drag you into an argument with the Five of Swords. But I think you're looking at them like, you're just a hurt heart space. And I am sorry that you're hurting, but I'm not sorry for establishing boundaries. And it's like you're seeing them for who they truly are. They are controlled by the pain of their experience versus you, who has chosen to rise above the pain of your experiences, right? You're not actually choosing to be hurt by them. It's very different energy. You're picking up your truth and walking with it. And they're still out searching for their truth. You have found some truth and are holding it. But they're just walking around looking for theirs. Okay? That's the Five of Swords. The Princess of Wands is about a reinvention of the self and walking a natural path, feeling inspired by Spirit to start fresh because you want to leave the shadow behind you. You've expelled it from yourself, and you're not partaking in it anymore. This is a new version of you that is not shadow-bound, but rather bound to the compassion and mercy of divinity. That what is meant for you will cross your path because you're listening to your heart and what feels good. Because when you don't listen to your heart, you don't listen to your intuition, and you take actions against it that feel bad or that go against what you're sensing, the universe slaps you on the wrist and says, you don't want to do that again, do you? You don't want to not listen to your intuition again, do you? You don't want to do something you don't feel like doing again, do you? You don't want to be in an experience that continuously doesn't feel good, do you? It's like a slap on the wrist. And so you are longing, right, with this Four of Cups for, I almost feel like it's something bigger than you to replace the energy. Because I think the habit that most people get into is they'd rather deal with negative energy than be bored. Not realizing that if they can create their own wonderful energy and not be bored. Like if you're in a great mood, you can go out and do things on your own, run into people, call up other people, make plans that you feel good around. Like people tend to wait for good to come to them after they've cut out the drama. And they're like, I'm bored. Well, yeah, you cut out the fucking drama. But now that you've cut out the drama, what do you want to bring in to replace it? What feel good do you want to bring in to replace it? Otherwise, you're just going to get sucked back into drama if you keep that void open for too long. So, do as you're guided. Follow your heart space. Go moment to moment. Live a whole day moment to moment. Only doing as you're guided, no matter what it is. Tell yourself if that's what you're guided to do, you're going to say yes. And if something changes in the middle of it and you want to do something else, say yes. Tell yourself you're going to do as you're guided for one whole fucking day and see how you feel. Then see if you could do it for a whole week. See how much your life changes and what experiences you end up having when you just simply flow. When you surrender instead of fearing being rejected and not doing things. Instead of fearing being rejected and not reaching out to people. Go with the flow. You might decide to call 10 people and none of them fucking answer. That's not the way the universe was flowing, but you were meant to call each one of them and they were meant to see your name on their missed calls. Or texting, right? Maybe you reached out to 10 people and none of them answered, but they were all meant to know that you were thinking about them today. Going with the flow. And so you get busy doing other things because you're flowing, and then all of a sudden one of them texts you back and says, hey, so good to hear from you. I was in the middle of this and I just got your message. Do you still feel like doing XYZ? And if it feels great to say yes, sure, you go with the flow. If you got caught up in whatever you're doing, just say that. Like, flow with it. What feels good moment to moment? This is going to be what your focus is for June. Because if you can go with the flow, you are definitely going to reinvent yourself and find ways to fill your time with spirit, capital S, instead of longing for drama. Because the drama is just fucking that. It is fucking drama. And sure, it'll keep you fucking busy. But you ain't going to get anything in alignment done. You ain't going to manifest shit dealing with drama, being consumed by drama. June's about filling your time with better things. Not being bored, but becoming productive, right? Becoming productive. That's June. For July, your milestone is the Crown, which is the World card in traditional tarot. It is card number 22. It is a master builder number. And its duality is completion and embodiment versus unfulfillment. comes out with the 9 of Swords, the 10 of Swords, and the 3 of Coin. Now, for having such a beautiful milestone, if for whatever reason throughout the year you have been on the shadow end of the dualities with all the milestone cards, you have reached a brick wall where spirit will not let you continue. You are literally being put in a nightmare-like scenario because you have sabotaged your light the entire year. And now you are karmically due with the 3 of Coins to accept your energetic manifestation. If you have fallen into addiction, if you have fallen into all of these different things, all of these negative dualities, right? Fallen into concealment, fallen into regression, fallen into rejection, fallen into all of this stuff. Weakness, resistance. Spirit's not having it. Spirit is not having it. You cannot neglect your light. If you have fallen in the shadow every month, this month you have reached a pinnacle moment of unfulfillment. You've completed a certain pain cycle, and Spirit is dealing you a final fucking nightmare. Nightmare. Like straw that breaks the camel's back, can't fucking do it anymore. Snapping you back into the reality of your light. Karma's a bitch. Your energy decides what karma you're dealt, not your actions. Your energy. If you're pouring love and pouring love and pouring love into other people to your own detriment, your energy is shit. Your actions might be beautiful, but they are self-sacrificing. You are betraying yourself. This is the manifestation of that. If, on the other hand, you have truly been in the light of each month and heeding the strengths of each month, seeing the truth revealed, nurturing the self, setting up healthy boundaries, being, in a place of strength within, that you trust the manifestation of your desire when you surrender and just go with the flow, not take things personal or martyr yourself, then you would be in the completion and embodiment duality of this month. If you've been in the light and have continued in the light, then you are completing a full embodiment of that light body. You have drawn firm lines and have taken every slap on the wrist and been like, you know what? I got you, Spirit. I see what I didn't see before. Won't do that again. And Spirit is completely ending the cycle altogether. It might not be an experience you wish you had or wish you witnessed. Because to be fair, if you're in the light, this doesn't actually pertain to you personally. But you might absolutely be witnessing the nightmare state of someone else who is in complete self-sabotage mode. And you would know then that is what they're manifesting. That is the level of low energy that you released ties to. You were energetically aligned to them, that they were in your experience, and now they're not. You have resonated out of equal vibration with them. To be fair, Pisces, you could also be dealing with some crazy fucking nightmares in the month of July. Especially around the time that Jupiter starts getting close to Chiron. You could be having some serious fucking nightmares. Be prepared. If that is the case, it's astrological, okay? It's nothing you could help. Understand the subconscious dream interpretation of it, right? Understand it in the mirror. Don't take your nightmares literal. You might definitely be empathically picking up on someone else's energy and receiving it in dream state to understand, so that you're not actually dealing with them. Especially if you're not on talking terms or everyday terms with a particular someone in your life and you're having nightmares of them dying or some shit. And you wake up freaking out like you have to call them and whatever. And if you're guided to, then you're guided to call them. But if you're not actually guided to call them and you're having those dreams and it's freaking you out, like, remember, you're a fucking empath. You're picking up on their energy and how much their egoic shadow self wants to cease and the light take over, and how much struggle they're going through dealing with that. But everybody's problems are literally everybody's problems. They're not yours. Like, not my monkeys, not my circus. Spirit has everybody's back. Like, you really don't have to martyr yourself. Especially if you're being thrown a nightmare scenario. You hold your peace and your center within. You connect to your divine guidance, your spirit, capital S. You call in God or your angels or whoever you believe in to stay center while dealing with this crazy nightmare. Because whatever nightmare you're witnessing, they created it. It's not your nightmare. You're witnessing it. It's their nightmare. To be fair, you know how they created it. Their energy was shit. It's time to go. July. Not gonna lie, it might feel like a fucking crazy roller coaster mentally. You might be doing mental somersaults. Things are not going to make logical sense to you. Or it'll be very difficult to gain logical sense of things. And it's just the way things are. Three of Coins, it's just karmically contracted that way. There's nothing you could have actually done to avoid it or prevent it. Please remember that. There is nothing you could have done better to prevent what it is that you're witnessing. There's nothing you could have done better. Please remember that for July. You could not prevent what happens. It was either manifested for you to experience, to snap you out of it, enough is enough, or it was manifested to see how dark and deep the rabbit hole can go when you chase shadow and live in shadow. That would be the ultimate manifestation, some kind of nightmare fucking experience, high anxiety. That's July. God knows I'm fucking here if you need me, okay? Help you through shit, especially if you're having crazy dreams. July. Okay. For August. Your milestone, we got 2 cards. We got Death and the Lovers. The Lovers in Tarot was originally called the Choice. Okay. The light duality is transition and marriage. The opposing duality is resistance and divorce. And when we talk about marriage and divorce, we're talking about union within the self. To be completely fair, after last month, some of you, the nightmare scenario might have been regarding some kind of legal contract, whether it was an actual marriage contract or a house contract or whatever you have a physical contract in. You could have been getting some nightmare scenario shit over contracts. But this is about union or separation within the self first, because the inner reflects in the outer. Okay. The inner reflects in the outer. There is a choice in August to unite the masculine and feminine within the self and flow and do as you're guided and be confident in the choices that you're making because they feel good to make for you. They're not hurting anybody else. That you would be able to transition into a full-blown union state. Or absolutely resist spirit that wants to be embodied through you here. And divorce back into full-blown acting on emotions and what you feel with no regard of logic, or the complete opposite where, you know, you're making logical, rational decisions with no regard for how you feel. You're either going to make sure that you're doing things that feel good, or you're going to do things that only feel good with no logic, or only with logic and no feeling, right? Very much becoming either a machine or a fucking mess. Comes out with the 9 of Wands, the 7 of Wands, and the Devil clarified by the Fool. I would not be surprised, Pisces, if you give one more chance to the quote-unquote devil to redeem itself. I very much got this energy of redemption. Now, the only way the devil truly redeems itself is if you transition into union with the self and do as you're guided. Otherwise, the devil's going to walk all over you. You can give the devil another chance, but you're definitely on your last leg with the 9 of Wands. One more and it's too much of a burden. One more incident and it's too much of a burden. But you're standing up for yourself and what you believe is right with the 7 of Wands. I gotta ask you though, do you trust your alignment? Do you trust your inner union? Do you trust that you're doing what feels good and not what you think you should do because you feel bad for the devil? Because whoever is embodying the shadow energy in your reality might truly be suffering. They might feel terrible and be suffering in their experience. But it is not your job to be their martyr. It is not your job to be their rock. You do that because you feel guided to, not because you feel bad for them. There's a difference. Doing as you're guided feels right to the soul. Doing it because you feel bad, feeling pity, or the fact that you might feel guilty if anything ever happened to them, that you do it out of fear of guilt or pity, those are all shadow emotions. Be careful what you choose. Because what you choose is based off of energy. And energy, when it goes out in the form of choices, has consequence. And you're either going to dodge a bullet or end up getting hit by one. Karmically speaking. Of course, the devil can redeem itself. The shadow. Whoever is lost in shadow, of course they can redeem themselves. But you better have some really, really strong, healthy boundaries. Because if you're in the light and they're in the shadow, the thing about light and shadow is light cannot exist where shadow does. And shadow cannot exist where light does. So be really careful what kind of inches you give the shadow, because the shadow, given an inch, will take a mile. You can't give an inch to the shadow. You got to be able to shine bright in your light and only empower your light further. Every time, shine. Hell, if the shadow won't go away, turn off your phone. That's the flow. Do something that doesn't require your phone. You know what I mean? Strong, firm boundaries. If you got to get off the phone with the shadow because the shadow has been talking your fucking ear off for too fucking long and you're done, listen, I love you, but I got to go. I got other things to do. I do hope you work it out. I'm sure you'll come up with a solution. I'll talk to you another time. And go. I got to go. If they continue to blow up your phone and you don't want to fucking hear it and it's disturbing you, turn your phone off. Turn your fucking phone off. God knows they show up at your fucking door, you tell them they have 2 minutes to leave before they are escorted off the property. Because you drew a firm line. You are not dealing with that energy right now. Absolutely not. And the shadow can be as ridiculous as it wants. Because the brighter you are, the more it's going to try and take back inches to get miles. You light the shit out of it. I'm dead serious. You want to give the devil a chance to redeem itself, you're going to have to play hardball with the devil. With bright ass fucking light. It don't get an inch. It gets full blown light. The witnessing of the light is the only way a person lost in shadow can find their way back to the light within themselves. You being in your shadow and feeling bad for them isn't going to help them get out of their shadow. You being in your light would. Shadow plus shadow is just eternal darkness. But you bring light to it, and that's the dawn. Let the sun rise in the middle of their dark night. Spirit will do the rest. Better believe it. Spirit will do the rest. You don't have to do anything that disturbs your peace. Transition into union with the self. If you're going to divorce anything, divorce your resistance to the light. Divorce your shadow. Like, yeah, I got plenty of love to give, but not my shadow. I can nurture a lot of things, but I'm not nurturing my shadow. I'm not empowering it. That's going to be the big thing in August. Redeeming the devil. How bright can you shine in August, Pisces? For September, you're going to understand what I meant when I said don't give the devil an inch. Not 1 inch. Because the milestone card is the priestess. It's intuition versus doubt. Please do not doubt your intuition. If something tells you it's going to be bad, it's because it probably is. If something in your gut tells you, no matter how bad it looks, it's going to be okay, it's because it will. Comes out clarified with the 8 of coins, the Tower in reverse, and the Queen of Cups. Now, the thing about this Tower card in particular is when you stop listening to your intuition, the feminine energy falls from the place that it has risen to, and the devil is there upright on this card. The feminine is actually getting knocked out of her energy and plummeting down while the devil stands tall and starts to rise and reclimb the tower. Be careful how much effort you put in. Please follow your intuition. Listen to it. Let this be a warning for September. The devil will take that inch and get a mile. He absolutely will. If you're not heeding your intuition, stay in the light of your moon sign. Whatever your moon sign is. Hell, if you don't know what your moon sign is, you have no clue, check out Cafe Astrology or shoot me an email. If you know your birth details, date, time, and location, I will absolutely send you a screenshot of your birth chart. I don't charge for that. But stay in the light attributes of your moon sign. If you're an Aries moon, lead the way. If you're a Taurus moon, stay fucking stubborn and remember the beauty in everything. Gemini moon, face the facts. Stick to the facts of the reality right in front of you. Cancer moon, love and nurture yourself. Love your experience or get the fuck out of it. Leo moon, be generous. Be proud of who you are and don't let anybody knock you off your high horse. Don't let anybody make you feel like what you're doing is not enough. Do not let them damage your pride. Be a huge, big heart. And don't let them break you and change you into something else that doesn't want to love or doesn't want to give to the right people. If you're a Virgo moon, continue to analyze things, stay organized, break things down step by step, one day at a time, one moment at a time. Focus on your authenticity, what makes you unique in this world. If you're a Libra moon, focus on maintaining balance with all the different areas of your life. One should not be taking up more time or energy than another. Yourself should be included as one of those areas that need to stay balanced. Scorpio moon, continue to reinvent yourself. Continue to transform. Level up. Be different. Sagittarius moon, absolutely know that you can self-fulfill prophecy. You want to see the highest good, you picture the highest good, and you act accordingly. You keep visualizing the highest good outcome. And trust in that. Take actions in accordance with that. Capricorn moon, the light of Capricorn, you can focus on being the director of your own life. You call the shots. Other people do not dictate your choices. You dictate your choices. You decide. Nobody else can tell you what to do and put expectations on you and judge you. You are the goddamn executive in your life. You have no boss. Aquarius moon, see the beautiful higher perspective. Look in the divine mirror. Learn about other people and yourself based on that mirror. That you could see the higher perspective of why Spirit's doing what it's doing. Pisces moon, the light of Pisces, if you're a Pisces moon watching this, stay connected to your soul and not the soulless. Do not be wishy-washy. Stay connected to your soul. Pisces is the sign of divinity and soul, the mystery of that which is divine within the self. Stay in the light of your Piscean moon. Do not get lost and be a fish swimming in the wrong direction. Trust your soul calling you to wherever direction it's taking you. Surrender and trust, Pisces moons. Do not give the devil an inch. It will absolutely try and strip you of the light that you've been very tediously trying to master this year so far. Remember, in order to love other people, truly love them in alignment with the soul, to truly love them in soul and fulfill soul contracts, you must first love yourself. You must be able to self-approve. You must be able to relinquish self-judgment and being overly critical of the self. You have to look in the mirror and see the person that you've become. And choose to make it better if you don't like what you see. You got to love the energy coming out of that reflection. Or your efforts have been going in the wrong direction. Do not give energy that giving it would throw you off balance with your own self and your own realities. That's the energy of September. You listen to your intuition. You follow the light of your moon. For October, your milestone energy is the Wizard, which is the magician in this deck. The positive aspect of the duality is the power of creation. The adverse quality of the duality is abuse of power. Now, if you were truly in martyr mode, that would be an abuse of your power. It is not your job to save everybody, right? It's Spirit's job. Your only job is to save yourself. You don't have to heal anybody else. You only have to heal yourself. And your healed self is what helps other people heal. Because healed people heal people. Healed people ripple healing energy. Three of Wands, you're absolutely on the journey. You're absolutely on the journey of spirit within the self. And Judgment and Temperance, they had come up prior, together in the same month. Only Judgment was in reverse, originally. Now Judgment is upright. And these old familial wounds that you were dead set on avoiding before, you're understanding them better now. Because whatever you tried to avoid, I feel like maybe you did a good job of the avoiding, but not a good job of the understanding how they manifest in the first place. And I think now in October, you are starting to understand how these reoccurring familial wounds, this karma that keeps repeating itself, I think you're starting to understand why it manifests now. Starting to see the self better. Starting to understand your own energy better and how it creates, right? An abuse of power is being a martyr. An abuse of power is playing the victim. As much as it is diving into narcissism, that's an abuse of power. But the power of creation is somewhere where being a victim and being a narcissist don't exist. You're neither. That's the goal anyway, to be neither. Because we all end up with some varying degrees of narcissism or victim mentality. And the whole idea would be not to feel like you have to take anything from anyone, good, bad, or indifferent. And that you are not a victim of your experience, but a creator of it, good, bad, or indifferent. To accept that you don't need anything beyond the creation that you've manifested. That you can work with what you have. And if things show up, you can be grateful. You don't need to ask for things to show up. They just simply do. And you can be grateful you manifested it. The means in which were provided to you to help you through whatever you're going through. The journey of the self, healing ancestral karma. Because the self, when I say the healing of the self, I say it with capital S. I mean the one self that all of humanity represents. When you heal you, your world starts to heal around you. This is the alchemy of the self. Taking the divine masculine aspect, the mind, the shot caller, the willpower, the decider, and marrying it in such a way to the divine feminine, the intuition, the heart space, the emotion, that the mind would heed the intuition, that the choice would heed the feeling, to marry them in such a way that you take lead when they're on their own and turn them into gold. Temperance is the alchemist. You can absolutely turn painful experiences into beautiful ones with vision, higher perspective, and gratitude. You can be grateful for all that you've experienced and witnessed and have gone through this year because it taught you about the self, capital S, and how it best functions in your favor and the highest good, and how it does not yield wonderful experiences when it's not being utilized for you to understand that in your highest good. The universe is always acting in your highest good so that you understand. October is going to be a month of realization that the first step forward is truly understanding where these karmic patterns reside and how to shift and change and morph out of that by tempering the self, by alchemizing the self, by unifying the masculine and feminine within yourself. You are the magician. You are the creator. You are the wizard. What you create is entirely up to you. If you think about it, our thoughts turn into choices. Our choices turn into actions. Our actions turn into behavior patterns, and behavior patterns define who we are as our character. Where do thoughts come from? Beliefs about our experience. If you believe about your experience differently, your thoughts will change. Because if you believe you're a victim, your thoughts are victim thoughts, your choices are victim choices, your behavior is victim behavior, and then your character becomes a victim. But if you believe that you are not a victim, but a student, and you're grateful for learning, then your belief is gratitude for being a student. Your thoughts become grateful for being a student. Your choices become grateful for being a student. Your actions then become grateful for being a student, which become your behavior patterns, being grateful for being a student. And that creates your character, a grateful person who is forever learning. That is much better than the victim. This is understanding how that chain works. And to truly change the self, you have to go back to your beliefs. And where did your beliefs come from? Familial experiences. That's where it all started. It's where it all started. Your beliefs ultimately decide who you are. And sometimes our beliefs don't serve us in soul. Even if old beliefs protected us for a time, maybe they're hurting us now because you're not who you used to be, dealing with energy you used to deal with. You're not in the same familial scenario that you were in when you were 8. You're not that person dealing with those energies anymore. You are your current age dealing with completely different people. And the beliefs you learned then might not be serving your highest good now. You get in touch with the power of your soul and you heal it. So that these familial wounds, these ancestral wounds, do not continue to repeat. That's October. In November, the milestone is the lovers. Marriage versus divorce, right? Within the self. We talked about this. It's something that's been coming up all year. Pisces, God bless you. You can't seem to make up your mind. Comes out with the 7 of Cups, the 5 of Wands, and the Magician. Marrying yourself is very different from who you used to be, especially if you've never committed to your highest good self before. Maybe you've always been tempted by the devil in other people, within yourself, to lash out in response and react, instead of taking time to consider what actually feels right to your soul. Because you find yourself with the 7 of Cups confused. Because a part of you wants to take on everybody else's soul baggage, wants to carry everybody else's crosses. The 5 of Wands is the internal conflict over this. You're confused because you're empathic and you want to give and you want to be there for everyone. The downside is you end up taking on everybody's fucking problems and making them your own. And then you take the wounding personal. It becomes a part of you. But the damage that they deal that becomes a part of you is just a shadow that you're taking and making your own. We're over here fighting demons, right? Not welcoming them in. Demons got to go. The part of you that wants to completely self-sacrifice and undo yourself for other people, that shadow of the Piscean energy has to go. You've got to heal it. After Pisces, the sign that follows is Aries, the sign of the self. See, Pisces' journey is to find the next step, which is the self. You might be inclined naturally as a Pisces to martyr yourself for others. But that is not your light. It is your shadow. The light of Pisces is to reconnect with the soul, the marriage of the mind and the heart, the masculine and the feminine within. I don't care what bad behavior you've learned from other wounded people. You know in your soul whether what you're doing or what you're choosing is right or wrong in soul. Your mind can argue that it's right all it wants. That's your free will. But your soul, well, that's higher will. It trumps free will. Your mind can argue it's right all it wants, but if the soul's will says it's wrong, it's because it definitively is. You can say, well, they deserved harsh words. They needed harsh words. They blah, blah, blah. They needed it. They deserved it. But in your soul, you don't actually like who you are when you're dealing harsh words. You don't actually like yourself. Part of you inside is ashamed of yourself, and that's because your soul is speaking. You might have learned that when people elicit behavior that they don't like, that they can correct you and belittle you or degrade you or talk down to you and be condescending. You might have learned that from someone else in your life, in your childhood even. Maybe your parents talked down to you. Maybe your parents made you feel powerless. Maybe when they didn't like what you did, they yelled at you and made you feel stupid. And you learned that that's how you treat people that you love. Why? Because your parents are supposed to love you, and they're treating you that way. So you treat people you love that way. That's what you learned. Well, it's bad behavior. It is misaligned. Because you don't actually feel good when you do that. So I don't care what bad behavior you learned. It is not acceptable to your soul. I don't care how your ego reasons it. Do not be confused. You might have witnessed a parent absolutely taking on everybody else's needs, everybody else's desires, and making sure that everybody else is happy except themselves. And that's how you love people. Because they love them, so they sacrifice themselves to their detriment to make everybody else happy, even if they're miserable. And you learned that bad behavior. That is not acceptable. Because it doesn't actually feel good to do that. It doesn't feel good to give and give and give and give and give to everybody else so that they're happy when you're not. It is unacceptable to your soul. You are learning to undo the bad behavior that you've learned from other people, Pisces, about what is acceptable. And redefining it for yourself based on what your soul says feels good and what your soul says doesn't. You are the creator, the magician. You can sit pretty exactly where you are, no matter how many people are trying to hand you their problems and say, I wish I could help you. But I can't do that right now, or I won't. I just don't feel it. I'm sure you'll find another solution. You created the problem. You can fix it. God knows if I create my problems, I got to fix it. No one else is helping me fix it. I created this mess, and I got to fix it. Don't be confused. It's like being a teenager or some shit, and your parents are always calling you ungrateful, and you don't appreciate that they pay for the roof over your head. You're in their house. It's their rules. But it feels like shit being on the receiving end, does it not? To have someone hold power over you, to force you to their will because they are holding something over you. But you learned that that's acceptable, so you do it to other people. But it doesn't feel good to the receiver of that energy. But you love them? Does it feel good to know you're hurting someone you love? Making them feel powerless? Does it feel good? No. To be completely fair, if it did, you've got no soul. Or you're completely out of touch with it. Whoever taught you bad behavior, it is time to fix it. You have to choose better, Pisces. Swim downstream. Go with the current of spirit. Stop swimming upstream like everybody else thinking you're going to get somewhere. Marry yourself. Follow your beliefs about what feels good and what's right and wrong. That's November. For December, the milestone is the moon. The duality is introspection versus lunacy. Comes out with the Knight of Coins, the Princess of Coins in the reverse, and the Magician again. The moon, this card in particular, I want to read it to you so that you understand. Because introspection and diving into why we are the way we are and choosing to rewrite who we are because we better understand who we are to change it is important, because any other path would create doing the same thing over and over again expecting a different result, and that is lunacy. That's fucking crazy. So understanding the self is of the highest importance, introspection. So it says, this is why I said your moon sign is so important, because it's the light of your moon that's going to get you out of this. Whatever the light of your moon sign is. Especially if you're a Pisces moon. You might absolutely want to connect with spirit, the self, your intuition, doing as you're guided, self-correction, doing what's in alignment with your soul, and negating what you have learned that is bad behavior. Right? Getting real in touch with your divinity and your divine light. It says the moon illuminates a pathway before you, which you look upon with trepidation. On either side of this narrow pathway, two different embodiments of Anubis stand over you, watching to see what you will do. Two jackals also stand by, wondering if they will have a meal of you. In the distance, the full moon appears as the destination, and above it, the scarab provokes the lunar gaze. The presence of the moon is a call to explore the deeper aspects of your subconscious mind and a need for illumination on your shadow self in every sense of the word. There may be experiences in your past which you wish to ignore, refuse to observe, or even deny, but steps must be taken to resolve these traumas. If you stray from the path, your own darkness will consume you, and you will be lost in the anarchy of your mind and emotions. The path through the light of your moon is so important because the intensity of a Pisces sun is wishy-washy and unpredictable. They say one thing and do another. They say they're going to do better and change, and then they don't. They give the best advice to their friend or family or whoever, but they won't take it themselves. Pisces sun in an intensity doesn't fucking know which way to swim. Do I go with what everybody else says is acceptable, what I've learned is acceptable, or do I go my own way? Pisces is the fish who swims in two directions and doesn't know which way to go. Constantly swimming in two directions. It's like going in a circle. I'm going to go the path of the light. Nope, that means I'm going to the shadow. Nope, I don't want to go to the shadow. I'm going to go to the light. And it's just back and forth. At some point, Pisces, you got to heal the shadow so that you can just swim in one direction. So that you can embody what is essentially Aryan energy with the ram. Full speed ahead, climb mountains. This is not about watching your every move and being afraid to make a move. It's about being able to trust yourself. The Knight of Coins is overly cautious and protective of the self. I don't want to make a mistake. I don't want to get hurt. Well, if you're acting out of fear, you're going to end up hurt. Fear is a negative emotion. It's a shadow emotion. I don't want to be hurt. I don't want to hurt them. It's fear. Trust that you can't hurt them. And if you trust that you can't hurt them, that you would only bring up their own wounding, because you're not trying to hurt them. You're not purposefully, maliciously hurting them. If they're hurt, but you're not trying to hurt them. Trying to hurt them is wrong. Yes, you would create a scenario where you lose someone. When you purposefully hurt people, you lose them. When you're consciously aware that you're hurting someone, you will end up losing them. If you are consciously aware of the choices that you're making or the words coming out of your mouth are going to hurt someone, and you say it and do it anyway, and you do not repair that, yeah, they will end up leaving your life. They will vibrate out. Especially if they know they don't actually deserve to be hurt. They're hurt enough. They don't need your shit. You know what I mean? You got a fine, narrow path to walk to reach the destination of your soul. It is through the light of your moon. Going back to this wishy-washy fear state, worry state, I don't know, confused, whatever, it's going to knock you off your path, and you are going to deal with the same crazy repeating cycles that you've been in forever. Stop being confused. Pick a path and swim. Pick a path and swim. If you don't like that path, then definitively choose a different path and don't go back to the old one. It didn't work. Doing things the old way didn't work. It didn't manifest what you want, no matter how close you got. The Princess of Coins in the reverse. Because the Knight of Coins, like I said, is overly cautious in protecting the self, which means the Princess of Coins, no seeds can be planted. There's no opportunity. If you are overcautious, protecting the self and trying not to get hurt, you have lost the opportunity, and that is what you're creating, the Magician. See, the Magician is one of those cards that is not feminine or masculine because it's mercurial energy. Technically, the Magician is like the twins, Gemini in energy. It is both and therefore neither. It's neutral. The magician energy, mercurial energy, will create whatever you want, good or bad, based on your energy. Mercury also rules the mind and the thoughts. What are you thinking about? What are your thoughts? Are they positive thoughts creating actions, or are they fear-based, worry, anxiety thoughts? Because the magician's going to create whatever you're thinking about. If you're thinking about being afraid of feeling hurt, you will absolutely create a reality where you are stuck in hurt because you're not giving yourself an opportunity to plant positive seeds. You're not giving yourself an opportunity to create positive experiences. You're not giving yourself opportunity. Why? Because you're afraid. So what happens? You hurt. You don't actually create the opportunity you want because you're afraid. The magician will give you what you're thinking about, the alignment and the vibration of what you're thinking about. Mind your thoughts. Choose the path of positive thoughts. Choose the path of positive feelings. It feels good to do this, despite everything else. Like, no one can hurt you, Pisces. They can only bring up the pain already within you to the surface for you to understand. They're just bringing up the hurt that's already there, that you learned back when you were a child. The things you learned were acceptable that aren't. They're only bringing up the hurt already there. No one can actually hurt you. They're your teachers. Remember, you're a grateful student. Not a victim, a grateful student. Remember the culmination of the previous months. What has being in fear served you? What has being in a state of guilt served you? What has being in a state of pity served you? What has being in a place of self-loathing, regret, anger served you? What is lying to yourself about things being impossible served you? What has your pessimistic worst case scenario thoughts done to serve you? What has your ego and your pride and your need to be right in your beliefs that are faulty served you? I can guarantee you it's been a serving of painful bullshit. Every fucking time. That's what manifests from those feelings and those thoughts, those beliefs, those choices. You want to walk this line? You want to reach heaven on earth, where the shadow can't touch you at all. Walk in the light of your moon sign. Trust. Trust your choices. Self-approve. Trust your intuition. Be the creator. Create what is joyful and pleasurable, not just for you, but for everyone in your life. Be confident in who you are and the choices you're making. Love who you are without judgment, wondering if you're doing the right thing or not, because you know damn right well you are, beyond a doubt. You have no regrets. You don't hurt the people that you love. You have no regrets. Speak the truth. Everything is possible. Everything. You are in control of your reality. With your own energy. Have your highest good visions, your best daydreams, visualize beautiful outcomes, and act accordingly. Act as if those visions are real and possible. Do not give up. Show compassion, show mercy, show empathy. Put yourself in someone else's shoes and understand them witnessing you. Be in your light. Because trusting yourself, creating joy, having confidence in your choices, loving your choices, no regrets, knowing that all things are possible and not doubting yourself, what you're capable of creating when you insist on focusing on the best possible outcome, when you can understand another truly and show them compassion, grace, and mercy, the people that deserve it, who show you the same. You tell me what that ends up serving you. Because I guarantee you, it's going to feel like heaven on earth. It's going to feel like heaven on earth. I'm curious as to how your 2023 will turn out walking this fine line going into the new year, Pisces. I do hope the hindsight, more than anything else, serves you well. Foresight, of course. I hope, knowing that you potentially watched this entire message through and through as I'm recording this in January, I hope that the foresight flips a switch and you could start working on these things now as opposed to dealing with it as it comes. That you could start diving into the mirror now. Diving into the introspection now and understanding the self now, especially when the Judgment and the Temperance card came up at the beginning of the year. Instead of avoiding the familial wound, dissecting it and analyzing it and figuring out why it's in your mirror and what needs to heal, the belief systems that are creating all of this shit that you deal with for the rest of the year. Because you absolutely have the power to control that now. I hope that foresight helps you out. Because I know either way, hindsight will. Hindsight's 2020. My love and support is with you always. Absolutely always. And I am here if you need me. God knows I am always booking. Always. This is Grace Nicole Myths, Astrology and Tarot, signing out. Remember to always love each other, but most importantly, love yourself. Take care.